now we're going to move on to introducing our working group. It's great to see so much chat going on around each of these topics. And really, we would encourage all of you to join the working groups that you've all registered for when you registered for this meeting. We will be having working group sessions, meetings probably every 2 weeks or once a month, depending on the working group. So please listen into each of these topics and find one that you're interested in. And please help us to grow the body of knowledge around this. So first we'll be starting out with communications and resources. Rob Boleyn will be introducing this.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. So communications and resources. And of course, the second I come on mic, the siren of a fire truck goes by, of course. So anyway, Andrew and I are the co-chairs of this particular committee. We have already had an outreach round and have a number of folks within the community who have responded and are a part of our communication. One message you're going to hear that's consistent from all of us is the last message on the page, growing the working group. And based on the communication that I've seen in the chat, boy, do we have a group of very excited and knowledgeable folks who seem like they are very, very ready to help us grow what we are trying to do here. So, we are in the very early stages of developing the messaging of the what, the why, the how, and the who of the commitment. And so this first quarterly forum, we want to thank all of you for participating. Those of you, whether you are signatories, soon to be signatories, supporters, soon to be supporters, thank you for attending this. Some of the things that we'll be working to develop will be the outreach tactics and tools, whether that's website related, social media toolkits, press releases, a lot around sort of the messaging for education, advocacy, getting our message out and growing the group. And then a primary function also is our team working to organize the future quarterly forums as we move forward. So again, we really want to grow the working group, get the expertise from our partners who are within the MEP 2040 commitment signatories to really sort of leverage the expertise of their communications and PR folks to help us as an overall group really properly package what we're doing and get the message driven much deeper, right? We're looking to create a wave here, right? And we really need participation and support from everybody to help us create this wave. Okay, I am going to pass it forward to the next working group session. And I think, Kaylee, are you presenting this one?
Yeah, thanks, Rob.
Very good. Right back to you.
So on data analysis and reporting, this group currently consists of myself, Kim Shin, who introduced the initial topics, Kelsey Watilla from SQ Dumas Ripple, and Steph Carlisle from CLF. So on this topic, we are working together to gather important data and the data sets that help us to make more environmentally conscious decisions as MEP engineers. With myself as a mechanical engineer background, I am a total nerd about all of this stuff, love to gather all the data. If you have more data sets than the ones that I've shown, join this group. We would love to gather as much data as possible. We will also be delivering that data in the form of helpful tools. In the next slide, I'm going to be showing you the beta version of the refrigerant impact tool. That's a quick version of what I walked through earlier in the example. We're looking for testers around this. So if you're interested in joining this group, you'll be able to test this tool before it goes live. We'll also be helping to determine what we want to report. So Kim has started a very important discussion with the AIA 2030 DDX group. The reporting that they are doing right now, one of the first things that we would like to get into that form of reporting is a section on refrigerants. And we can stick it right between the embodied carbon and the operational carbon. And you can see a snap in the bottom right corner of this slide where we're showing the AIA DDX reporting mechanism that they have right now. We can imagine refrigerants just slipping right in there as a first step, but that's something that we'll be discussing as a group. And of course, like Rob said, we are looking to grow this working group and have more voices. Love hearing from Bill McQuaid and Josh on all the things that you know and would like to put into these groups. So please join this group. So to walk through the example of what this tool will potentially look like for allowing us to make better decisions, this GIF is kind of mid strokes right now, so you're seeing the end result here, but you can see that we're starting off with a selection of the lifespan of the equipment over here. We chose GHG protocol for chillers, starting at the beginning again, and then we select chillers there, and we select our refrigerant data set, so ASHRAE 228P, so we're using R134A with 1,000 kilograms of charge. Our leakage rate would come from EPA. Someone asked that question earlier. We would select chillers. You can see that total lifetime leakage of about 4,000 kilograms. You can see the total global warming potential, as well as those EPA equivalencies rendered on the right side here. You change that amount, you can see it changing, as well as changing the refrigerant. So really allowing you to quickly assess the impact of the refrigerants that you're speccing on your projects. This is a tool we want to make available to everyone. And again, more than happy to add more data sets to this. That list you saw earlier, all the different data sets that are currently being rendered in the tool, but happy to have more, especially if we start to gather more evidence from the field and kind of amassing our own data set. Happy with that as well. So hopefully all of you are excited to get your hands on this. Now I'm going to be handing it over to Stefan from ENIAD to go through partnerships.
Thank you, Kaylee, and hello, everyone. If you've recognized one thing on this call, it's the theme of teamwork. This is going to be underscored, I think, continuously. And I love the diagram that shows that AIA 2030 on top of MEP 2040 and SE 2050, because an integrated design team needs to approach this nimbly and effectively, and that's what our group is focusing on. Together with Yasmin and Luke, and frankly everyone on the steering committee, our first step was to develop a list of stakeholders, and the categories of stakeholder groups are listed on the right-hand side there, and you're probably a member to several. And if you're not finding yourself on that, please do put it in the chat and also join us. But we want to sort of recognize the importance of working together on this topic. I'll also underscore the fact that I'm an architect and not a mechanical engineer, and you might ask yourself, well, why would an architect be a supporter? And you know, we manage the most important piece of the mechanical equipment, namely the envelope. And yes, my mind was just blown thinking about the relationship between air infiltration or uncontrolled air infiltration and the long-term impact on refrigerants and their impact on the climate. So the three goals that we have and what we're aiming to do for the next quarterly session is to continue to grow the list of signatories and supporters, and to look for opportunities to begin to fold this work that you've just seen into other frameworks. There's a wonderful one in development right now, the Owners Can Action Plan, which answers one of the questions, I think, in the chat, which is how can owners be engaged in a way that also flows more naturally. And lastly, we want to make sure that our work is ultimately serving our broader teams, the 200 folks sitting behind me in this office and right across the way in SOM's office. This is a joint effort that requires a lot of attention. So please join this working group if you're interested in establishing more partnerships. Thanks.
Thanks, Stefan. Now, Adam will be talking us through the manufacturers and EPDs working group.
Yeah, thanks, Kaylee. So yeah, we're working with Christy and Kelsey and William on this topic. I think Christy did a pretty good introduction to what our thought process is around getting this data. I think Kaylee showed, you know, the power of understanding the actual data of the refrigerant and what that can do to change your perspective. So now we get these tools ready. We've got this big working group and everyone ready to go. We open the lid and then there's no data on any of our equipment as far as the embodied carbon of what it takes to make all this stuff. So our charge is to make sure that we can be a single point of communication to the manufacturing community on how to move forward. We've talked with some manufacturers that says, look, I've got 5,000 things on my line card. What would you like me to spend money on EPD first, right? I mean, they have some real decisions to make about where they want to invest their money. And on the other side of the coin, they want to make sure that if they make the investment, there's going to be demand to drive it. So we can see where they're coming from. Our working group, we need people that are experts on EPDs to join us. So there's things in the chat about folks that definitely are smarter about it than we are. We need help on that too. So our vision overall is have a conversation between manufacturers, engineers that specify the equipment, and owners, just to make sure everyone's comfortable that, hey, this is the direction going forward and we can have a path going forward. We're going to connect with other industry associations like AHRI and other groups too, just to make sure that we can have a good dialogue about this and all have a good plan moving forward. And once we have that plan, everyone can kind of go to one place and get on the same page about how to move forward. So whether it's the timeline we laid out with Christy earlier or whatever meets the needs of the industry, that's what we want to try to figure out. So that's what our working group will be doing. We'll be looking to probably hold forums every quarter or so with these groups where we can have these discussions and plot out a path going forward.